The evening of March 1st, 1932, began like any other at the Lindbergh estate near Hopewell, New Jersey. Charles Lindbergh, the famous aviator who had captured the world's imagination with his solo flight across the Atlantic, and his wife Anne Morrow Lindbergh, were settling into their home for the night. Their 20-month-old son, Charles Augustus Lindbergh Jr., whom the press had dubbed the Eaglet, was sleeping peacefully in his nursery on the second floor. The Lindberghs had deliberately chosen this rural location to escape the constant media attention that had followed Charles since his historic flight. But on this night, their desire for privacy would make them vulnerable to one of the most heinous crimes in American history. At approximately 9:00 p.m., an intruder climbed a makeshift ladder to reach the nursery window. The ladder, constructed of wood and crude in its assembly, would later become crucial evidence in the investigation. The kidnapper entered through the window, carefully lifting the sleeping child from his crib and leaving behind a ransom note demanding $50,000. The note, written in broken English with distinctive handwriting, read, "Dear Sir, have $50,000 ready, $25,000 in $20 bills, $15,000 in $10 bills, and $10,000 in $5 bills. After 2 to 4 days, we will inform you where to deliver the money. We warn you for making anything public or for notify the police. The child is in gut care. Instruction for the letters are signature." The kidnapper then descended the ladder with the child, but the ladder broke under the combined weight, leaving fragments scattered on the ground below. When Betty Gow, the child's nurse, discovered the empty crib at approximately 10:00 p.m., the Lindbergh household was thrown into chaos. Charles Lindbergh immediately searched the house and grounds armed with a rifle while Anne remained in shock. The discovery of the ransom note on the nursery windowsill confirmed their worst fears. Despite the kidnappers' warning against contacting authorities, the Hopewell police were notified and the investigation was quickly turned over to the New Jersey State Police under the command of H. Norman Schwarzkopf. The scene revealed muddy footprints in the nursery, more footprints beneath the window, and the broken ladder sections, but no blood or clear fingerprints could be found. The kidnapping immediately became a media sensation, with newspapers across the country running front-page stories about the crime of the century. The Lindberghs found themselves besieged by reporters, photographers, and curiosity seekers while police struggled to maintain control of the investigation. A second ransom note arrived on March 6th, raising the demand to $70,000. The note contained the same distinctive handwriting and peculiar symbol, 2 interlocking circles that would become a signature of the kidnappers' communications. Over the following weeks, the kidnapper sent a series of additional notes, each maintaining the same broken English and increasing the psychological pressure on the desperate parents. The investigation took a dramatic turn when John F. Condon, a retired Bronx schoolteacher, placed an advertisement in the New York American newspaper offering to act as an intermediary between the Lindberghs and the kidnappers. Writing under the pseudonym Jafsey, Condon received a response from the kidnapper accepting his offer. This began a complex cat-and-mouse game involving secret meetings, coded messages in newspapers, and elaborate drop-off arrangements. Condon met with a man he would later identify as John in various locations throughout the Bronx, including Woodlawn Cemetery. The mysterious figure claimed to be part of a gang but insisted he was not the actual kidnapper, merely a go-between. During these meetings, John provided details about the crime that only the kidnapper could know, including the child's sleeping clothes. On April 2nd, 1932, Condon met John at St. Raymond's Cemetery in the Bronx, where he handed over a box containing $50,000 in marked bills. In exchange, he received a note claiming the child could be found on a boat named Nellie near Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts. The Lindberghs immediately dispatched search teams to the area, but no boat by that name could be found. The cruel hoax left the family devastated and authorities frustrated. The marked bills became a crucial element in the investigation as law enforcement agencies across the country were alerted to watch for their circulation. The heartbreaking truth was revealed on May 12, 1932, when truck driver William Allen discovered the decomposed remains of a small child in a wooded area just 4 miles from the Lindbergh home. The body, identified as Charles Jr. through clothing fragments and distinctive features, showed evidence of a fractured skull. The medical examiner determined that the child had died from a blow to the head, likely on the night of the kidnapping. The discovery suggested that rather than a carefully planned ransom scheme, the kidnapping had gone tragically wrong almost immediately. Possibly when the makeshift ladder broke during the kidnapper's escape. The investigation continued for more than 2 years, with authorities tracking the marked ransom bills as they surfaced in various transactions throughout New York City. The break in the case came in September 1934, when a gas station attendant in the Bronx became suspicious of a customer who paid for fuel with a $10 gold certificate. Gold certificates had been withdrawn from circulation the previous year, making them highly unusual. The attendant recorded the license plate number of the customer's car, which led police to 1279 East 222nd Street in the Bronx and the home of Bruno Richard Hauptmann, a German immigrant carpenter. When police searched Hauptmann's home, they found more than $14,000 of the marked ransom money hidden in his garage. Hauptmann, who had entered the United States illegally in 1923, had a criminal record in Germany and had been living in the Bronx under an assumed identity. Wood from his attic was found to match the wood used in the kidnapping ladder, and his handwriting appeared to match the ransom notes. Most damning was Condon's identification of Hauptmann as John, the man he had met in the cemetery. The trial of Bruno Richard Hauptmann began on January 2, 1935 in Flemington, New Jersey, and immediately became a media circus. Reporters from around the world descended on the small town, and the courthouse was packed with spectators eager to witness what many called the trial of the century. The prosecution, led by Attorney General David Willents, presented a compelling case based on the ransom money found in Hauptmann's possession, handwriting analysis, wood evidence linking him to the ladder, and Condon's eyewitness identification. The defense, led by Edward Riley, attempted to portray Hauptmann as a scapegoat and suggested that the real kidnapper was someone with inside knowledge of the Lindbergh household. The most dramatic moment of the trial came when Charles Lindbergh himself took the stand to testify about the night of the kidnapping and to identify Hauptmann's voice as the one he had heard calling out, "Hey, Doc," to Condon during one of their cemetery meetings. Anne Lindbergh also testified, describing the agony of losing her child and the torment of the ransom negotiations. The defense's attempts to create reasonable doubt were undermined by the overwhelming physical evidence and the defendant's own contradictory statements about how he had come to possess the ransom money. On February 13, 1935, after deliberating for 11 hours, the jury returned a verdict of guilty of murder in the first degree. When the foreman announced the verdict, Hauptmann showed no emotion, though his face flushed red. The jury made no recommendation for mercy, leaving Judge Thomas Trenchard no choice but to impose the death sentence. Hauptmann was immediately sentenced to die in the electric chair during the week of March 18, 1935. His wife Anna, who had maintained his innocence throughout the trial, broke down in tears as her husband was led away. Despite numerous appeals and a brief stay of execution, Bruno Richard Hauptmann was executed in the electric chair at the New Jersey State Prison on April 3, 1936. He maintained his innocence to the end, though his final appeals were unsuccessful. The case had a profound impact on American society and law enforcement. The Federal Kidnapping Act, commonly known as the Lindbergh Law, was passed by Congress, making it a federal crime to transport a kidnapping victim across state lines. The case also marked the beginning of the FBI's rise to prominence as a national law enforcement agency. The Lindbergh kidnapping remains one of the most studied criminal cases in American history, with debate continuing about Hauptmann's guilt and whether he acted alone. The case highlighted the vulnerabilities of even the most famous families and changed how America viewed child safety and security. The tragedy also had lasting effects on the Lindbergh family, who eventually moved to Europe to escape the ongoing media attention. The case established precedents for how kidnapping investigations would be conducted and demonstrated the power of forensic evidence in solving complex crimes. More than 90 years later, the Lindbergh case continues to fascinate criminologists, legal scholars, and the public, serving as a reminder of how a single night of violence can forever change the course of history.